For months, I've seen headlines of big companies announcing layoffs and saying it's because they're using AI and no longer need those employees. But is that actually true? There's a term some economists have been using called AI washing. It's the idea that a company might say that AI is the reason for firing someone, but in reality, they would have done the layoffs anyway. So how much of these AI layoffs are real, and how much is that just convenient cover?
We don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. And I think it depends on how much you want to take their word for it, or if you have reason not to. Washing through some type of layoff or compensation change is tale as old as time in the U.S. economy. I mean, you hear it a lot with things like, we had to switch to having iPads instead of clerks because of the minimum wage. And not that they were going to do it anyway, but because it's the minimum wage's fault. I mean, fall guys and narratives are just part and parcel of the U.S. economy.
So why would a company do that then? I mean, why point to AI if the real explanation is just that they had a bad quarter? Why reach for this new technology as their excuse for laying off American workers when maybe it's something else, totally different?
This new technology is not being treated neutrally in the stock market. Companies that are seen to either embrace AI or be an AI company, a company that is kind of affiliated or relied upon AI, is seen as being a better investment, and their value goes up. So at this point, if you say you lay someone off because you overhired, it's probably not going to do much for your shareholders. But if you say that you're laying people off because you've pivoted to AI, that could make your company seem more valuable. When the U.S. economy enters downturns, you tend to see a wave of layoffs, almost as if there's like a peer pressure. These three other public companies have done a 5% layoff to manage cost. Why haven't you? Well, they said they're doing AI. Are you doing AI? We can't pretend like that doesn't matter, even if we can't measure it and we can only sense it. The best data that we have or try to have about the effect of AI on the labor market, I mean, it's just very inconclusive, and it'll likely stay inconclusive for forever.
Why is it so hard to tell?
I mean, I suppose you could go back and if I asked you, Katty, here's great data on U.S. employment going back to 1955. Tell me how many jobs were lost because of computers. You would know for a fact that there are jobs that used to exist in our economy that we didn't have anymore because computers have taken their place, like the occupation computer that used to be largely women. But it would be very hard to go back and say, and here's the total job loss associated with the advent of computers being used in the workplace. Same thing with the internet, same thing with Microsoft Office.
Are you suggesting we may never know? We may never know how many lawyers or accountants or doctors or journalists lost their job, professors lost their jobs because of AI as opposed to something else?
No, not with any degree of certainty. I mean, we'll be able to know, we'll be able to have some conclusions, right? Like I have a pretty good sense that many workers being able to use a word processor on the desk is why we don't have typists anymore. But beyond, the very clear kind of well-defined, we don't have typists anymore, we don't have, phone operators anymore. After that, it gets hard, even though we know it changes the nature of employment.
Sometimes organizations get penalized for saying they're doing something for a reason, when in fact they're doing it for a different reason. And we've seen some of that in public opinion around the idea of greenwashing, for example, companies saying they were doing things for climate change activity, but weren't actually doing it for other reasons. Do you think companies that are AI washing jobs might face any kind of penalty for doing so?
Well, the popular opinion of AI in society, the rejection of data centers as a boon for small communities, the notion that AI will bring in a better future, you're seeing incredible pushback.
Yeah, that's come up in a couple of conversations we've had recently.
Yeah, on the ground, people are not overwhelmed with AI, but a lot of those companies don't necessarily have customers. The same way that you would have if you were a retail store and you say that something is eco-produced and you've gone green, but really you've just changed all your labels to like a very pleasing light green. So it's not clear that if people were upset, they would have many outside options.
Kathryn, can we talk about what this means for young people? Because like me, they're watching those headlines. Unlike me, they don't have a job yet. Many of them are leaving college. I have college-aged children who are just about to enter the workforce. And I hear my kids and their friends talk about this in a way that they're trying to kind of make the right decision based on what is AI proof. But maybe that's not actually the reality, and they shouldn't be thinking about what is AI proof, because that may not be the reason that some companies are slimming down their workforces anyway.
I worry that the narrative being so amplified of what AI will do does make it hard to make decisions, not just for young people, but for all workers. I was looking at a chart this morning that said that the year-over-year change in job postings in Indeed, software development was much lower than overall job postings at the start of 2024. And now halfway through 2026, they're, 4 times as high. And that throughout this kind of period of our very deep look at AI, the actual numbers of, say, software development job postings have been increasing, and they've done better than the economy for the jobs overall over the past, I think it's about year.
That's so not the narrative that's out there.
But that's not the narrative. So I mean, this is why narrative is everything. Like, I'm an economist, I care about numbers, but I know that narrative is everything. And if you tell young people AI will destroy all of these good jobs and you won't want to be a computer scientist, and every major outlet in the country publishes a piece on whether or not these computer science majors have a career waiting for them, that changes how you think about things and how your parents and mentors give you advice about things, when the data itself is just much more unclear.
If you were talking to an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, somebody just starting out in college who is trying to think to themselves, what major should I pursue? What career should I go into? Would you have advice for them?
I don't know if I have advice, but I might try to spend some knowledge, dispel some myths. There's this belief that, back in the 50s, you just got a good job and you had it for forever and you worked with one employer. That is not really the case. The first 15 years of your career for almost anyone is associated with lots of movement. I just tell young people, like, you have no idea where you'll be in 15 years. Even if you're one of these, like, very pipeline dependent, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Like, you can't control how the labor market works out when you enter the market or what kind of opportunities come up. I think, for lack of a better option, you should always pursue the thing that you would want to do for the longest. And the labor market when you graduate is important, but it's just your first job. It's not your last job or even the career in between. And I don't think I know anybody who could predict the career they've had when they were 20.
I wish I'd had somebody like you giving me advice when I was starting out in college.
Frankly, I do too.
Kathryn Anne, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.